As soon as you meet up with Emma and finish out all the cutscenes, you're dropped right back into the water, and thus begins the Escort section of the game. This is by far the least interesting part of the game, so it's very easy to lose focus and make some mistakes. Main thing to try and speed this section up is to try and maintain that focus you've built throughout the run. A lot of the Escort is just movement. There's not really a lot in the way of speed strats, just having crisp movement is mainly the way to go. So if you've done the swim in air glitch, coming up when we get back into the water, you'll notice that the second door is still closed since we didn't open it the first time. All that means is that we'll have to open it now, and it wastes a little bit of Emma's oxygen gauge. This isn't much of a problem. On normal, you can continue just swimming just fine, and Emma will survive. She will be below half health though, so you have to move quickly whenever you move to trank someone in your way, just so that she doesn't have the opportunity to sit down. Alternatively, you can spend a second and go up for air, either in the wreckage room or at one of these air pockets up here. So if you play the game casually, you know that Emma is not one for bugs. So what we do to avoid this is we just drop her off right before that line on the floor there, call the elevator, and yeah, we choke her. Just drag her on the elevator and you can avoid the whole thing. So the first floor of Shell 2 Core, once you grab Emma, is a little different. There are now guards that have spawned in the rooms, so you have to be careful and know where they are. Other than that, they're not too much of an issue. They're all facing the opposite direction of you when you start moving through. If you don't move fast enough, this next guard can and will turn around and spot you, so just keep an eye on that. And up ahead there's a guy who was facing the staircase, so we have to take care of him now. One thing that we can do to speed up this bit is to actually skip one of these cutscenes by... we're basically skipping the trigger by bumping Emma onto the stairs. You have to be very careful. For one, you don't want her to fall over, and for two, you can end up soft blocking the game by pushing her into the seam of the stairs, and therefore out of bounds. It's not a particularly good thing that happened, so just be very, very careful if you try to do this. And again, what that does is it skips a cutscene where another guard pops out of the elevator and spawns another one right in front of your path. There is another bump outside of this door that you can do to have Emma spawn a little bit further into the map once you get out here. It's not as important. It saves a few seconds, if that. So we want to grab that chaff, no matter how many chaffs you had going in, because we'll need one for here, and we will need one more for later. So you want to wait to throw that chaff until the shutters, the first pair of shutters on the path. That way you can just move up here. That guy won't notice you or anything, and all the ciphers will be indisposed until you've had the opportunity to coolant out the flames. And a good visual indicator for when you've sprayed the flames enough is that the black smoke will start rising out of the place the fire was. So if you've moved fast enough and you've waited long enough on the chaff, you'll have it throughout the entire bit there. Once you enter the sewage treatment facility, you have to move quickly, bring Emma to about here, shoot these two guards out, and move on. Now, you may notice that my aim was entirely off on that first guard. I have no idea how it worked out, why he went down in one shot from that location, but generally aim for heads. Much safer and, you know, generally just better. In this case, it just worked out for me. So once you drag her down to the hatch, you'll get these cutscenes and you'll start the sniping segment. The sniping segment is all patterns, so once you recognize and learn the patterns, it will never change for you, except for little minor differences that you can account for. So you want to grab the thermal goggles and stand on the spawn location for the PSG ammo. The thermal goggles are specifically for these claymores, and I like to go from back to front because it wastes one less bullet even though it doesn't matter. Then I'll take out the guy patrolling that strut and the strut across the way, and then move on to the next few claymores. After the claymores are done, you can take care of the ciphers you see floating around. And another note is that if you at any point look in Emma's general direction, she has a very good chance of slipping and falling on her ass. So the best bet is to try and avoid looking anywhere near Emma, although of course that's not possible since she's heading the directions of the struts. So just, if it happens, it's not really that big of a deal. It's a couple of seconds. Pentamine is not necessarily a precious resource here. Once you run out, you will have 2 more packs, which is a full 10, spawn right behind you, right about where the thermal goggles were. So if you run out, just grab those, come back to this spawn point for the ammo, and everything will be just fine. Shooting the guns on the ciphers is a one-hit kill, as is shooting the center point on their rotors. The guns are easier to hit than the rotors are, but if you can't really get a beat on the the guns, you can go ahead and hit the frame, and 3 shots takes it out from there. You also have to be aware of travel distance for your bullet when you're aiming at the second strut. The bullets do in fact travel. They have some sort of ballistics. They're not entirely hit scan. So just be aware of that fact and adjust accordingly. Lead your shots. Past that, there's really nothing to say. On normal, when Emma rounds the first corner, and I believe it's the second pillar there, Snake will call. Just take it real quick, and if you feel it's necessary, you can call him for help, but it is slower than just taking care of it yourself. Now, since we are standing on a spawn point for the ammo, which infinitely spawns, ammo management is not an issue here. Just, screw around as much as you like. Now, don't do what I'm doing here. Menuing is slow and unnecessary. Just stick to the PSG-1 and your unequip, and just kind of take it nice and easy. Now, I don't generally like to zoom in on the second pillar, but if you feel it's necessary, you can go ahead and do it. It won't lose you any time if you do, and it might make you more accurate than I've shown off here. During the second swimming section with Emma in the wreckage room, the air pocket right above the Stinger ammo pickup, there is a PSG-1T. So if you're looking for a Doberman rank run or something of that nature, you can go ahead and pick that up. And the spawn point for that ammo is on the far end of where you spawn in on this particular map. Like all the way to the right side of this little platform you're standing on. And again, try not to menu when you're here in this bit, except for the very beginning when you have your thermal goggle equipped. Once you take out that last guard, when Emma hops up and around the corner on that last second strut, that's all the human enemies you'll face. There's just 2 more ciphers to take care of, one on the right side and one on the left. not very important, but still something to note is that when you reach 20 rounds in your PSG1, that is the point where the ammo will respawn again. In European Extreme, it's much more important to keep an eye on your ammo counter since the PSG1T can only take 5 rounds in a magazine. But here it's not terribly important. So once Emma reaches around where I'm aiming at now, that's when the next cutscene will start and the Vamp 2 boss fight will start. For Vamp 2, it's very simple. You can either shoot his head or his legs, but with his head you have to wait for him to recoil back. So I personally prefer to shoot at his legs, since you can just mash that out, like so. Anyway, with the Vamp 2 fight down, now we are on a timer to get to the Shell 1 core. Disregard the timer entirely, it's entirely too much time, so you should make it there well within, and if you're not, then I don't know what to tell you. 300 seconds, you could probably go around the entire big shell with that. Make sure you, before you enter the EF bridge, make sure you equip your chaff. Ciphers have now spawned on the bridge, and if you're seen by them, or if you don't have a chaff running by the time you have been seen, they have a very, very good chance of shooting you and causing you to fall to your death. So it's better to be safe than sorry and just use the chaff and get across safely, instead of wasting time, potentially dying. So once we get in the elevator, we are officially in the Arsenal segment, and that's where the next video will pick up.